Well, I watched some of the town hall last night of Joe Biden and Donald Trump, kind of switched between the two. Uh, the moderator that they have, this Savannah woman they had for Trump, she was debating him the same thing that the other idiot did on the last person to person debate they had with him and Joe Biden. Look, it doesn't matter. If you want to vote Democrat, vote Democrat. If you want to vote Republican, vote Republican. But you need to question yourself and ask yourself why it is that everybody hates this man so bad when he's done such good stuff for the country. They say he's racist with absolutely no proof. He's done more for the black community than Joe Biden or Barack Obama ever did. Promise you that. Kamala Harris has, which is his running mate, I guess you'd call her. She herself, when the Democratic debate was going on, said that she believed Tara Reid was molested or sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. Said she believed Joe Biden was an out and out blatant racist, and which his record speaks for itself. There's stuff like, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. The only reason he was able to stay home during the pandemic is because some black woman was stocking shelves. I mean, he's just on and on and on and on. Not to mention the fact that this man, and I will go ahead and say it whether it makes you mad or not, he is a pedophile. If you will watch the videos of him hugging, pulling little kids close to him, sniffing their hair, and watch how these children act trying to get away from him. Sometimes parents don't pick up on things like that, but children know when something is wrong. And there are so many videos of this man pulling little kids by their breast, putting his hands around their necks, around their waist, cupping their breast when he holds them and takes pictures, and they try to get away from him. He jerks them back. The man's a pedophile. Something's wrong with this guy. And if you want to vote for that, more power to you. I, for one, will vote for Trump because I value my freedom. I value my rights to the First Amendment. I value my rights to the Second Amendment. I value our country. I value the fact that we live in a free nation to where we're not government run under socialism and communism. And see, that's what happens. It starts out with liberalism. Any country that's ever went communist starts out with liberalism, goes to socialism, and from socialism to communism. And if you think things are bad now, you just let the Democrats get into office and see what happens then. Little by little by little, they've been taking away our rights. When Barack Obama was in office, all he said he needed was a cell phone and an ink pen. And he passed laws that he went by Congress. I mean, he went by the House. He just did it on his own. But Donald Trump is working for the people, regardless of how much you don't like his attitude. And people say he's not presidential. I didn't hire him to be presidential. I hired him to do exactly what he's doing, and that's to run the country, make the country safe. No new wars since he's been in there. Everybody screamed when he went to North Korea, oh God, he's going to get us blowed up. Walked away with peace. Every president before him has promised peace with Israel and Palestine. Never happened until Trump. They've also all promised that the capital of Israel would go to Jerusalem. Never happened, not till Trump came. Jobs went out the roof. Unemployment bottomed out. For minorities, blacks, Asians, Hispanics, unemployment rates were at the all-time low. And then this pandemic come through. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe COVID is real. I believe that it's real, but I believe it's really not as bad as what everybody thinks it is. I was told the other day that if I cared anything about people, I would be wearing masks. But the problem with it is nobody that I know that I have been around has caught it or died because Josh Griffin didn't wear a mask. Yeah, people with pre-existing conditions, people that are elderly, I get it. They need to be careful. But more people died last year and this year from the flu than they did, or I say last year, this year from the flu than they did COVID-19. Actually, the total death rate of all deaths is lower in 2020 than what has been for the past 4 years of all deaths. And then it doesn't make anything any better when they take and inflate the numbers on COVID-19 simply because the doctors and the hospitals get a big paycheck when they have a COVID patient. They have people that, I believe he was an ambassador or prime minister, I forget what he was, some kind of leader in Africa, got a bunch of COVID tests. He tested a papaya. He tested fruit. He tested fruit, okay, that you grow in a freaking garden, and sent the test off as if they had been done on a person, and they all come back positive. So he rejected the idea of the testing being true. I've heard stories of how doctors have sent off tests that have never been used on people, just opened them, closed them back, and sent them off. They come back positive. It's because the hospitals and the doctors get a big, huge paycheck when they have a COVID patient. We have people that are dying from various things, and they're marking it up as COVID. A young man in Florida died of a motorcycle wreck. Media put on TV and on social media that even though he died from a motorcycle wreck, his death was counted as a COVID death. They got on TV and even said that every death right now, this is back at the height of it, every death was being marked up as a COVID death. I know in the town in which I live in, a young man committed suicide. His death certificate showed that he died from COVID. He got that from a law enforcement officer that worked the scene. But anyway, before this pandemic, the United States was roaring. And I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be roaring again. But here's my thing. The reason I'm even doing this morning is because I saw last night that Dr. Fauci, everybody's beloved doctor, has decided that it's going to be a good idea to close the rest of the holidays, make it illegal for everybody to get together for Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas because everybody's worried about COVID. And I don't think it has anything to do with the holidays. I think what it is a precursor for them shutting down the polls on the 3rd of November. And that's their way of saying, well, if we got to close everything else down, we'll close the polls down. So I'm here to tell you that the Democratic Party are doing their best with every resource they have to keep you from the polls. This mail-in voting is a disaster. Now, when I say mail-in voting, I'm not talking about absentee voting. That's been around for years. But this mail-in voting where they're just sending out ballots to anybody and everybody. I know one man in the state got a ballot for his cat. Okay? They're trying to get as many votes as they can. And just as always with the Democrats, the dead will be voting this year, just like they always do. And but go early vote before they shut the polls down, before you're forced to vote by mail. And we have got to we've got to take our opportunity to stand up for what we believe in, what we hold precious, and what we hold dear. I do not want socialism in this country. I do not want to be told that I can and cannot own guns. I do not want to be told what I can and cannot say. This is part of our constitutional right. Everybody's worried about Medicare and health care and all this other stuff. The left, the Democrats want Medicare or health care for all. Okay, our country cannot sustain that. We don't have the money for that. That means all of you doctors out there, if health care for all passes, that means that whether you get paid or not, you got to work. If I get sick at 3 a.m. in the morning, you're getting out of bed and you're coming and taking care of me whether you ever get paid or not. Our country cannot sustain that. We cannot. It's just like the stimulus checks. You cannot take a country and hand out $1,200 to $2,400 checks to every person in the United States and expect the country to ever get out of debt or to sustain itself. Not going to happen. Was the stimulus check nice? Sure, everybody wants $1,200 or $2,400, but I would rather them keep it and not teach us and our children that handouts are better than hard work. And that's what the left wants. They want somebody to give them something they didn't earn. They don't want to work. Not all of them. Not all of them. Granted, there's a lot of good, hard-working Democrats out there, but this generation that's growing up has the idea and the mentality that you owe it to us just because we are. Listen, that 75-inch screen TV, that brand new car that mom and daddy's got in the front yard, that nice house they're living in, they didn't get that because somebody gave it to them. They didn't get that overnight because they got a credit card and maxed it out and now can't pay the interest on it. They got that over 30 and 40 years of hard work, back-breaking work, and they earned it. They built up their credit score, whatever, and they earned it. So our future of our children are at stake. The future of our freedom is at stake. And I may not get a lot of likes on this, and I really don't care. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to keep your freedom, if you want to keep your country to where you are not ruled by socialists, it's more than that. If you want to keep your car, because see, the Green New Deal that they're pushing, it calls for getting rid of all gas-run vehicles, making them illegal. Therefore, they would have to put an electric charging post in every home in the United States. They would have to redo every building in the United States to accommodate, these electric cars and solar panels and all that. All that stuff is good, but we can't afford that. They're trying trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. They're trying to come up with something that we don't have. And what it will do, they will take from the higher percentage of people that are making money. They will tax the rich until the rich are no longer rich. And then where do they get the money from? Then they say, like Venezuela did, we're sorry, we can't help you. We're out of money, because the government's not going to give up their money. Everybody sitting in Congress, whether Republican or Democrat, they're not giving up their paycheck. It's going to be on the American people. So I'm telling you, if you value your freedom, if you value life as the way it should be that God gave us here in the United States, you need to get out and you need to vote, and you need to vote early. And for God's sake, don't vote for socialism, because if you've ever had a thought that maybe it might work, look at every nation that has ever went socialist and tell me how it's worked. In Venezuela, they're eating zoo animals to stay alive. People are being turned away from the hospitals and dying in the streets because of socialism. A few years back, about 10 years ago, Venezuela was one of the greatest hot spots in the world to go on vacation because it was so beautiful. Now it's not a third world country, it's a fourth world country. Why? Because of socialism. I hate everything that Joe Biden stands for. He is a creep. I don't care who likes it, who don't. He has mental problems. I think his wife and the Democratic Party ought to be ashamed for what they're putting the man through. It's really sad, because it's very plain to see that the man has some mental disability, maybe onset of dementia or Alzheimer's, but they're trying to use his name as if it was any good in the first place to run a ticket on him. Not only that, but they are prepared to do what they need to do. Nancy Pelosi came on TV last week and has come up with a plan that there should be a committee to test the cognitive ability of a president to run the United States and have him removed under the 25th Amendment if he cannot perform his duties. A lot of people said, oh, she's trying to say Trump, Trump is not capable. The fact of the matter is, she did that just in the slight chance that Joe Biden wins, that they can remove him and Kamala Harris can take over and then turn around and get somebody like Michelle Obama or Michael Obama. That's not a woman, that's a man. Everybody knows transgender. But, or I won't say transgender, I'll say it's a man dressed up as a woman. Or somebody like Hillary Clinton, somebody to really destroy things, because Kamala Harris is hardcore. She is hardcore socialist. Uh, this woman is about as evil as they come. So they are doing everything they can, like they have since before 2016, to try to stop our president. I, for one, me and my household, stand firm with Donald J. Trump, because he is what is the best choice for the country. Is there anybody else that could do it better? Maybe. Don't know. Probably is. But he's what we have, and he is the best. I didn't hire him to be presidential. I hired him to do what needed to be done. I voted for him last year. I will vote for him again. Actually, today I'm going to early vote, and I will do it because he does not follow the guidelines of the so-called establishment, the big brother, whatever you want to call it. They can't control him, therefore they hate him. And that's the reason I like him. It's because he's not a politician, he's a businessman. And the decisions he makes, especially business-wise, is from a standpoint that's made him a multi-billionaire. And our country's doing better than what it's ever done. Yes, COVID knocked us back a little bit, but we're on the rise. We're on the rise. And by this time next year, we'll be on the rise even more. And you mark my words, I'll make a prediction. If Donald Trump wins the election, which I believe he will, COVID-19 won't be a problem very much longer, because they can't politicize it. The left can't use it as a political point to run on. If Joe Biden gets in there, COVID-19 will explode, because he will need a reason to shut down the country, make a illegal mask mandate, because he doesn't have the right to make you wear a mask. But he will shut the country down, and they will use COVID-19 as an excuse to do so. And then from that, guess what? We are slaves to what they say and what they want us to do, because we will be dependent on them when we do not have jobs to go to, when we do not have any opportunity to socialize, to go to town, to go get groceries. We would be dependent on the government. And God help us if that happens. So to all my Democratic friends, I love you to death. I got family that's Democrat. I love you. But I am sorry, I will not vote for somebody that has dementia or onset of dementia or onset of Alzheimer's. I will not vote for somebody who lied about this thing with his son over in the Ukraine. It was a blatant lie. He sat right on TV and told that he threatened them and used quid pro quo, that if they did not fire the man that was investigating his son, that they would not get the millions of dollars in aid that the United States promised them. He is a liar. I will not vote for a man that is a pedophile. I would not vote for a man that wants to run around sniffing women, grabbing women, all this other stuff. Sure, I know what Donald Trump said, the locker room talk. Nobody's making that exempt. He shouldn't have said it, probably shouldn't have done it. But the fact of the matter is, when you see Joe Biden, he's always coming up with some kind of, like he said last week, I want to see you young ladies dancing in 4 more years when you're 4 years older. And they were, what, like 10? So he's got a sexual pedophilia problem, not just with children, but with any woman. You don't see him hugging men like that. You don't see him sitting and grabbing and groping men. He has a problem. I will not vote for a party who thinks it's okay to murder babies in the womb. You might as well take a 3-month-old and execute it and end its life if you think it's okay to murder children in the womb, because it's still, at 3 months old, being born is the same as the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester of a pregnancy. It is still a life, and you are killing it. I get it. If you've been raped, if it's incest, or if it's going to cost the mother her life, you need to look at other options than what's normal. But just to go out and have unprotected sex, men and women both do it, and then turn around and say, hey, you know what? It ain't worth giving this life a chance. You are a murderer. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you like me or if you don't. But you murder a baby in the womb. You are a murderer. You will stand in judgment with God. I have no use for you. There are too many people out there right now that they can't have children that would love to have a baby that you don't want. Okay? I saw a post the other day that says when you have an abortion, you are not somebody who's went through just some simple thing. You are the parent of a dead, murdered child is what you are. And you are the guilty. Like me, don't like me, I don't care. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion just like you are yours. But I will not vote for a party who thinks it's okay to kill babies. Not only before birth, but now the Democratic Party has endorsed, and yes, Kamala Harris has endorsed after birth abortion. That means when the baby's born, the mother and the doctor and the father can sit down and decide whether or not the child is loved enough to let it live. If not, after the child has been born from the womb, they can give it a shot of lethal injection and kill it because it's just too much to deal with. I will not stand for a party who takes the values of a man and a woman being married, traditional marriage, and throw it out the door and say that homosexuality, all this other stuff, that it's the same. Listen, it's against the word of God, regardless of what I think about it. I've got friends that are gay. I got friends that are lesbian. I love them with everything that's in me. But I cannot go against what the word of God says. And the word of God says that it's an abomination unto God. I will not stand for a party who backs anything that goes against what the word of God says. I'm sorry. Whether it be the abortion, the homosexual, it doesn't matter. Not saying I hate the homosexual. I love the homosexual. I love them. I do not like what they do. Just like the woman who has an abortion, the man who agrees to have an abortion. I love them, but I do not like what they do. I cannot stand for that because it goes against the word of God. If you want to keep your freedoms, if you want to keep your Christian values, and that's another thing that's happening, the